So when you're swinging the club down, should your right arm be tucked into your side or against your side? We're going to answer that question in a couple of drills. The answer is it's yes and no. It's mostly no. Hi, I'm Peter Knight, and I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you possibly can. And today, we're going to look at how the right arm works, particularly in the downswing. When I set myself up, it's still a bit cold here in Melbourne, so still need heavy jumper. But even so, you can see that when I take my address position here, my right elbow is sort of pointed towards my right hip. Now, as you can see from down the line there, there's no tucking of it. My arms, if I just set myself up and just allow my arms to hang and put them onto the golf club, my right arm's got to point somewhere, or my right elbow's got to point somewhere, and it's pointing to about my right hip. As a matter of fact, my left elbow is pointing to my left hip as well, so I haven't got my elbows twisted around. Now that's partly a function of holding the club correctly and also not getting too rounded through the top part of the body. When I begin my backswing, my elbows are still pointed towards my hips. And as I continue back to the top of the swing, of course my right elbow is going to leave my side, as you can see here. Now here's the key thing. What we want to do is look at what happens in the downswing. If I'm going to throw a ball, but I'm going to throw a ball sidearm, generally most of us have done enough throwing to know that we wouldn't pull the arm into the side. The ball wouldn't go very far. We'd have an order of movement which is very similar to the golf swing, in that I would use my body first, lead with my body, and then almost feel like I'm leading with my elbow, then my wrist, and then my finger. So if I'm throwing, I'll create that sort of movement. When I'm swinging a golf club, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, or have the same order of movement. So as I swing down, my body's leading, then my arm's following. So my elbow's sort of, at this stage, is leading my wrist. Now at some point, everything's going to catch up and the club's going to move past my hands. That's mostly a function of the speed of the movement of my arms compared to the club. If the club is moving faster than my arms, it's going to catch, which it will, it's going to catch up and pass my arms at some point. Now, one of the things that we can practice to get the feel of how this right arm works is actually mimicking the throw. So from here, if I'm throwing, again, my right elbow is moving almost across my body a little bit. It's not twisting, it doesn't take a huge effort to do it, but there's no tucking, and that's the key thing. I can also practice that just by swinging the club with my right hand. And it might be easier just to hold right down the grip just to make the club feel a little bit lighter. But as I swing back, when I get to the end of my backswing, my right elbow's bent about 90 degrees. My wrist is bent back about 45 degrees. Now from here, all I'm going to do is in the initial stages, let my arm fall. So as my arm comes down, the club will pass its balance point and then it wants to now go this way. Now, if I keep my arm moving, at some point the club is going to catch up and pass my arm. As it's catching up and passing my arm, it's gaining speed. Now, I'm not trying to use my hand or my wrist to do anything to gain speed in the club. It's just purely that change of momentum. As my arm gets closer to the ball, it slows, the club head speeds up. As the club head speeds up, it causes my arm to slow. So I'm not trying to, keep my arm straight as I do it. I'm not trying to straighten my elbow or straighten my wrist early. I'm keeping them both soft and allowing them just almost literally to fall. Now, if I've got the ball on a low little tee, I can even just practice hitting little shots like that. But again, it's not a manipulation. Most right-handed golfers are right-handed people. That's your strong hand. And the temptation is to use the hand to try and hit the ball. When I make this swing here with one hand, I've even allowed my hand to open. So I'm not going to use it whatsoever. Just allow my arm to fall and move through. So when I'm swinging the golf club, I want my arm to operate in the same way. So if I just make a little practice swing from here, as the club swings down, my arm is moving down, my elbow is moving down, and sort of across, almost across in front of my hip here. Now, how far it goes before the club starts to swing out, it's going to vary a little bit from player to player. But generally we want the club to trail the arms and then catch up fairly close to impact. As the club swings down, that angle between the shaft and the arm is going to open up pretty much all the way through the downswing, but most of the opening occurs just prior to impact. In doing that, there's no tension, there's no held tension either through my elbow or through my arm. Now, the other thing about the right arm, if I try and keep it against my side here, then as I swing down, my body's going to bend massively. Not good for my golf swing, not good for my hips or my back either. So when I swing the club down, again, that arm moving across my body's leaning back a little bit, but it's not like I'm not leaning back a long way. So if I play this shot here, then we can see in the downswing movement, that's how my arm's moving this way. It's moving down, across in front of my body, the club's straightening out, but again, there's no tuck through here. And then at some point, my arm will become straight. So there's no tucking, no pulling, no tension. As I said right at the outset, it's almost like that free throw feel. Can't even say it. So practice that movement, even if it is with a throwing action. Practice with the one arm. Record yourself and just have a look and see if the movement looks the same when you're throwing, when you're swinging with one arm, or you're swinging with both arms. Get control of this movement here, but not through tension, and you'll find that you'll probably have better strikes and more distance in your shots.